Okay. G'day, so I'm Tilly from Tilly's Garden, and I am wanting to introduce you to a new series I'm doing here on YouTube. So I plan to take our next door neighbour's garden, which is just a basic grass garden, a little bit of weed activity happening. Also, there's a couple of hedges that need to come out. We're taking that blank slate and I'm going to be turning it into a productive food garden that will hopefully support up to 80% of all fresh produce needs for their household. And I'm going to be doing this at close to zero cost as I can. So how I'm going to go about this is it's going to be a slow process because I have to prepare the ground first. So this first video is just all about the planning and how I've gone about deciding what to plant and where and why I'm planting certain things in certain areas and things like that. So just an introductory video. So hi. So how we're going to do this is we're starting out slow. So we're going to take soil that's hasn't had any amendments, and we're going to add things like our own homemade composts, worm castings, chook poo, duck poo, all of those fun natural fertilizers, and they're going to go in and be our amendments. We're also not purchasing any raised garden beds or wicking beds or anything special. Everything's getting planted just in ground as the ground is, with only those amendments that I mentioned. And our only cost so far in the planning stages that we have is a government subsidized compost bin. So we found a Dirt Vader compost bin to be the best value, plus postage. It was $29. So we're getting one of those delivered in the next couple of weeks, or I think pick up, I don't know, delivered or pick up, because our local council is supporting like home composting in order to help reduce green waste going to the tip. So we're going to have one of those. We also have a cafe worm farm that was gifted to me to use, so we're going to have that as well. I did also find one on Facebook secondhand for $30, so that puts our grand total up. We got $29 from the compost bin, and we got, say, $30 for the worm farm, because unless you're lucky, you're probably going to have to outlay a little bit of money for a secondhand worm farm. And then we've got the cost of our IBC cage. Now we're really lucky. We've got a local fellow. He trades in the IBC cages, and we can pick one up for $50. So we're going to get one of those as well. We have some old shade sail that's left over from some other garden projects. Like, I think it was like an old shade house that my mum had, and then, you know, so it's been used a lot, so it's virtually free at this point. So for around $100 startup cost, that's sort of where our budget's sitting at this point. So with the government compost bin, like if you've got a small space, a small compost bin like the tub compost is going to do you just fine. Particularly if your council's got a good deal on it. We saved 80% of the cost by getting it through our local council. So we went with that one. So that's $29. You don't necessarily need the worm farm to start up, but it is a good idea. You can oftentimes in garden share groups, I'm a part of 3 different garden share groups. You can swap like for worm castings or like spare compost worms people can give away. Also you can swap for I swapped for the worm farm, which is how I got my free worm farm. All our seeds and seedlings, we're looking at only using seeds and seedlings that we have got from the garden share groups, or seeds that I personally have collected from my garden that I would swap for the, like with the neighbors, or not swap, but at least give to the neighbors to help them out. So I'm not planning to purchase any much like seeds or seedlings. The only thing I probably will have to purchase at this point is an $8 bag of green manure crop, just because I would like to start off with that, but we'll see how we go. I might be able to trade or at least get some seeds from that free of charge from a garden swap. We do have our first garden swap, well, one group we have a garden swap on Thursdays, another group we do the first Sunday of every month, and then another group's just via Facebook of you just organize swaps between each other. So that's the plan for this series. And the difficulties I'm going to arise in is I work part-time from home and I have a toddler, and I'm limited to the amount of babysitting time that I can be child-free. So things will happen at a pace that suits our very energetic toddler, and when that toddler can be looked after and I can be free to do my garden, well, the neighbor's garden, but my garden project. So that's gonna put a bit of restraints in terms of time wise. Also, the main reason I work part-time as well is because I have a few health difficulties, so I can't always be out and about. Sometimes I do have to just suck it up and rest. As much as that pains me, I do have to rest sometimes just to make sure that I'm healthy to keep going. So that's my restrictions there. I think the only other difficulties we all have is like during summer, because in Brisbane our summer gets really, really hot. So, and obviously like too much rain or too little rain, things like that's going to be a difficulty. And of course sourcing exactly what plants I want. I may have to forego some certain things and get some other things, so things may not go to the plan that I'm about to show you guys on the computer. Oh, and I should mention I'm using a computer program that I pay a subscription for, so technically that's not free, but if you or someone you know, like in order to keep costs down, want to go like I've like with the subscription I'm able to have multiple garden plans in the subscription, so I can make a plan for my backyard, a plan for my front yard, and then next door neighbor's backyard and front yard. You don't have to use like an online service like on the computer. You can make your own hand-drawn plans if you want to, or just not have a plan. I like to have a plan just to see a physical thing of what I'm trying to get my head around, and then usually I just don't follow that plan anyway, so I usually just look back at it more like a journal. Oh, and on a journal note, another good thing to have with you on this garden journey is a journal or notepad, something that you can keep a track of when things are happening. You don't have to put everything in there. I like to just put in when things were planted, when the first harvest started, if there was any pest issues, and also I then put in the weight or size of my harvest so that I can like price match with the shops, because we will be looking at how much money we're saving by doing this. So we want to make sure that we're making the most amount of profit out of our garden as we can for what we're able to plant. So currently we're about $100 in the red because we've purchased a few things, and we'll be using some garden tools that I got off Facebook. I have no idea how much they were because I've had them for about 10 years, 10 years. So find some garden tools secondhand. Markets are a good place as well. I do recommend the ratchet shears. They're really good if you got weekends like me. And like a hand hoe, I think they're called. So it's like a little, I'll show you later in the video, or maybe not this video, but maybe the next video. But for introductory purposes, we're just gonna that's my plans and my cost outlays starting this project. And I'm now going to take you through and show you the plans and that on our garden planning subscription on the computer. And you'll probably have my toddler's music TV in the background, so I hope that doesn't bother anybody. Okay, so here is the app that I use on my laptop to plan the gardens. So I'm just going to open up the front garden plan for our area. As you can see, we've got the whole space here. So I'm going to just be looking at the plants because I don't want to move any of my structures. And we can zoom in, just click and drag to move the map around. Now, as you see up here, it's currently showing all the plants that I have planned for the next 12 months, so July through to June. I just want to talk you through each of them month by month. So we're going to select July first. So at the moment we're planning to clear that keyhole garden space, like this one here. I want to take more accurate measurements because I assume I'm off in my measurements here a little bit. And I'm going to put in a green manure crop. In the next video, you will see a couple of green manure crop experiments that I'm going to be doing before we put the green manure crop over. Of course, we have to clear out all the hedges and the weeds and everything first, but this is the plan for July, is that it will have a green manure crop growing. And then we come to August. And August, around Eka time, we will be doing trimming out this green manure crop and suppressing it to use it as composting greens and as a mulch layer for our soil. Now my hope is that I can source some corn, either seeds or seedlings, from our garden swap groups. I've got some calendula seeds that I plan to start off. I've got lettuce in my garden that's loose. I've got radish seeds that I've seed saved. Same with tomatoes and capsicum and marigold and dill. I'm just going to move this out the way so we can just see that there's dill and marigold in there as well. Now as we come through to September, a lot more going on in here. So I got some snapdragons. That's if the seeds I collected from the snapdragons this year are viable. I'm not sure where I'm going to source the Elysium from, but I'm hoping that someone in one of the garden swap groups I'm in may have some spare plants or some cuttings. We have heaps of nasturtium seeds and borage seeds that we have saved, as well as pea, peanut, and bean. So I'm not worried about sourcing those items for free. If I was in a seed swap group, I would be swapping these seedlings with someone. So this is just assuming that this someone, aka my neighbor, which is me, would have swapped and got these things. Same with the extra lettuce and more radish. Hopefully I can also source some zucchini plants, as I have not had any success seed saving from our zucchinis. But I do have plenty of time that I can get runners from, and I have already got some basil that I got from a seed swap as well. And obviously I have heaps of parsley in my place, so I can always offload a few parsley plants. And the spring onions are seeds that I saved from my spring onion that flowered last spring. Conveniently a spring onion that flowered in spring, very ironic. So this is the plan, and as we continue through the months, you can see some more things, like even a cucumber starts getting added around October as the weather really warms up, and some extra beans got added in. The cucumber I have some saved seed for, so that's not going to be an issue. And then we come into some beetroot. Now I don't have any saved beetroot seed, but I'm hoping that by November I will be able to swap and seed save for this beetroot. So as we continue through, you can see plants are coming out. That's as they get harvested and they finish up their productivity. Some plants are staying in just because they can get more of a continual harvest, such as the zucchini, tomato, capsicum, and cucumber. And the spring onions you can cut and come again. And come February, we start to see a change, particularly in March. We get our brassica crops in. So what I'm hoping for is that, I'll just go to this one. These legume families, such as the peanut, the beans, and the peas that I have planted in here, they will act as nitrogen fixers. Now they'll fix all that green manure into nice nitrogen that these really heavy feeders, these brassica family, so you got cauliflower, broccoli, and cabbage, that these can feed off. Same with the silver beet as well. And then you see a bit more change as we come through April. I'm hoping to get some clover in. That's a really nice nitrogen fixing plant, as well as a green manure crop, so we can slash this and chop and drop as we go to create a constant composting. As you see my little compost bin down here, we've ordered that and it's on its way. We got a 80% subsidy from our local council for composting week. So we took full advantage of that, and it was $19.90 and $10 postage. So just under $30, and we have a compost bin to use in the garden. It's called the Dirt Vader. It looks pretty cool. And also I've got some of the multiplier leeks down here that I plan on planting. So as you can see, like pretty much a year out from now, let's just go back to all months. That's what's going to grow in the garden. And then if I go into plant list, whoops, wait for it to load, you can see that I have all the plants listed here, along with how many of each that's going to get planted at different times. So where is it? So like sugarloaf, you can see here, like I'll be planting one and I'll be planting two at different times. That's why it's listed it differently, but I can sort it like that as well. So like each individual plant, and it will tell me when it's going to be in the ground for, just here. So I can go all the way down here. So like all those plants, does it give me a total, I wonder? No, it doesn't. So all of that is that one. Yeah. So we're hoping to have like 30 beetroot, 3 broccoli should give us at least 3 main heads, as well as multiple side shoots. The 2 capsicums should give us like 3 or 4 capsicums a week, things like that. Green manure, this is how much it thinks I'm going to need of green manure. It won't, yep. Stop clicking and it won't do stuff. And this passion fruit we're going to plant in as well. That's going to go over the driveway. So if I go back to my plan and I scroll across, you can see there's passion fruits over here on this other side. Now, while we do eventually plan to turn all this front area into edibles as well, we're just going to start small, get something happening that is achievable, something happening that we can easily maintain and control. And there's a lot of weeds that have been in here for the past few years, so we want to make sure that we keep the weeds under control, and that means just letting them sprout and picking them out and using them for weed tea, and turning them into a nitrogen compost fixer. So as long as anything that's in here that's a weed, and by weed, stuff we don't want to grow, anything that hasn't gone to seed or that doesn't sprout from cuttings will go in our compost bin. If it sprouts from cuttings, we're going to drown it in some water, wait 2 or 3 weeks, and then use it as a weed compost, weed tea, nitrogen fertilizer for our plants that we make. So that is the garden plan on paper. And now I'm going to show you what is out currently in the garden so you can actually see the space physically. Okay, so everyone probably recognises this wall from my garden. As you can see, my asparagus and my current garlic beds. We've got this lovely wall and we've got these hedges at the top here. So at the moment these hedges are non-productive. They're literally just leaves and sticks. And our neighbours would like something a bit more edible in this space. Also, as you can see, it is throwing shade onto my garden, so it is beneficial for me as well to have these hedges gone. But the neighbours, for the whole time we've been living here, they've been hating on these hedges. They've tried to get rid of them a few times, but this year they are going to go. Within the next month, actually, they're going to go, because I am going to turn this into a food garden. So, being given permission from our neighbours to do filming and also do a revamp of this front garden section. So this is what my garden looks like from their place. Nice and lush. I can see a lot of lemons on my Eureka lemon. And the neighbours would like their garden to look just as lush and be just as productive. So as you can see, all these hedges are quite overgrown. We've got that middle grass bit. So the garden bed actually is like a keyhole shape. And these hedges are so overgrown that they're shading out a lot of stuff in here, but also they're stripping the soil and they're not really doing much for the ground. So we're going to take these out and we're going to put a productive food garden in this space. So that is what our next video series, our continuation of this series, this is all going to be about. So this is the garden that you've seen the plans for. This is the physical space and what it looks like now.